what are some emotional patterns or triggers that you've noticed in the fathers that you coach?
Yeah. I think probably the most common thing is falling into a groove where, as a father that's working a full-time job and they're dealing with a fair amount of stress at their job, that when they come home, they want to be a good dad and they want things to be smooth sailing and peaceful when they get home, right? It's like things can be hard and challenging at work. So when you come home, you want it to feel like a safe haven. But the reality is, if you've got young kids that are learning how to deal with emotions and learning how to communicate, things just aren't always easy when you've got young kids. And so when a dad has expectations of, work is hard and stressful, and home needs to be calm and safe so I can recover, I think that can set them up for an extra set of challenges when they come home, and maybe some reality hits them where there is a kid having a temper tantrum. And so I think it's really common for dads to desire harmony and peace. And when things don't go that way, it can bring an extra level of frustration that can put them back into that sort of reactive state that we talked about earlier. And so instead of having that expectation of man, work is really hard, when I come home, I just need it to be really calm, I think it's worth setting proper expectations, knowing that kids are going to have age appropriate reactions and behaviors. And so you go into the situation going you know what, I'm going to do what I can as a dad to create, a smooth and peaceful environment when I get home, knowing that, things don't always go to plan. So how am I going to handle that as a dad if things don't go the way that I want them to? What's my backup plan? And walking through the door with, in my opinion, those are some realistic expectations of what might happen. Now all of a sudden we're not as caught off guard. And it's okay, I've got a backup plan because I realize that this might happen, and I'm going to do A, B, and C to sort of help things calm down and get things back to the way that I hope they'd be, calm and happy and just enjoying family life.
Oh, yeah. What Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face, right?
That's right. That's right.
But, we are the universe, fractal holographic universe, the big image, all contained in the one image, right? So just like the world has ebbs and flows, springs and winters, summers and falls, we have that as well. It comes in the form of emotions. What is emotional regulation?
Well, in my opinion, I think emotional regulation is first and foremost something that we as parents want to model for our kids, right? It's really hard to tell kids and to set up these expectations for how they're supposed to handle their emotions when we're not doing that as a parent, right? I think the do as I say, not as I do thing, you're setting yourself up for failure as a parent. So, emotional regulation to me is making space for emotions. It is a part of human existence that we're going to have emotions. And emotions aren't bad. They treat it like information, right? It doesn't have to be good or bad. And I think the number one thing that we can do as a father for our kids is just to let them know, whatever it is that you're feeling, it's okay to feel that. And to not try to come in and fix things or tell them why they don't have to feel that way. Just something as simple as wow, that sounds hard, right? Randolph, put yourself in that situation and just say that you just listed off this really, brutally difficult morning that you had, and you're venting for like 5 minutes and you get it all out. And I let there be 3 seconds of silence. Wow. Randolph, that sounds hard. Can you feel that?
Yes,
Yeah.
it added a sense of sincerity.
Because it's real. Like I felt it as I said it. Like and you didn't vent anything before we started airing. So like that's all made up. But like when you put yourself in that situation to just like create this like really safe and welcoming space for your kids, and where they know that they can show up with their emotions, and you're not going to tell them that they're silly for feeling that way, or here's a way that you can stop feeling that, it creates like this feeling of safety, and your kids are going to feel supported. And that to me is the best and the first step that we should take when it comes to emotional regulation.
Yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I know the word sincere, it derives from the Latin word sincere, which means without cracks. What they used to do was the people that made vases, once it came out of the fire, some of them had cracks in them and some of them didn't. And what they would do is they would add different paste to it and paint over it to where it looked just like the ones without crack, but they would label some sincere, which means that, yes, this looks as beautiful as the other vase. However, the vase that's sincere, the vase that does not have cracks, when it falls, it won't break so easy. And it sounds like when you communicate with people, you are really building up that goodwill of sincereness for when you do fall, because you will ultimately fall, as everybody does. You don't crack, and that goodwill that you put in beforehand helps brace for that fall with your children and with your spouse.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah.